Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 7th of March, comes to you from London. And again, quite a lot of mixed colours on the screen today. We'll take a look at Forex, first of all, just the main currency rates, and then look at global stock indices, commodities, including precious metals, the yield charts, and then last of all, we'll take a look at energy. Quite interesting, we're seeing a breakout occurring here out of this symmetrical triangle for crude oil, and we'll talk about that as well. So first of all, looking at the dollar index, it is up this morning. Interesting how it's found that support on the weekly cloud. Remembering this is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute chart. I'm running on lots of different data surfaces, but mostly here I'm using Refinitiv Icon. You can run Updata on lots of different data services, so that's a really powerful aspect of Updata. And in fact, these are all the different data tabs that I'm running into Updata simultaneously, remembering that Updata is compatible with dozens of different data services, and if we're not compatible with one, just tell us and we'll add it. So basically, I'm sitting on top of Icon, and this is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute chart, my long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market with the corresponding point and figure target. So really very, very powerful there. And we see here that the weekly cloud, we found support on the cloud. We're bullish when we're above the cloud, remember. We found support on the cloud, and we're now just hitting the top of the cloud, which is giving a little bit of weekly resistance, and that's matching up with the daily price hitting the cloud as well. But the interesting thing is the long-term trend is bullish. The long-term trend normally wins, by the way, even despite this fallback, and the medium-term trend is just coming back to turning bullish, but we are hitting some cloud resistance, and short-term we're bearish below the cloud. So we are seeing some upside targets there, but that needs to be tempered by the fact that we are below the cloud. So it's a multiple picture. These 6 charts just tell you everything on the multiple time frames. Looking at the euro dollar, we see here we're hitting resistance. So what was cloud support for the dollar index is resistance for euro dollar, the main component, of course, of the dollar index. And so we are bullish above the cloud short term, but just falling back today. So quite interesting there as well. Looking at the Japanese yen, that's normally a lead indicator for the dollar. So really, I look to the yen chart to see where we're going first off, because this will give a good heads up for the dollar. It's normally quite a good indicator, and the yen is looking stronger on that medium term with those targets, although we've just still got a break above the cloud. Sterling just is flittering with this 120 level, and we're just nudging above it again this morning, but this 120 level is becoming really quite tricky. 120.50 for cable is certainly a level that we need to see break in that short term. We've got these downside targets, which does suggest that sterling is going to go lower, hitting cloud resistance there as well on the weekly. And if we look at against the euro, we're seeing that gradual decline over the long term. That's playing through to the medium term daily chart, just wandering away, and short term we're bearish below the cloud. This 112.50 level is a critical level to watch, and we've got targets to the downside there, so watch those. And of course, if you're trading currencies, keep an eye on the 1-minute charts, which are going to give you all the real-time trends and targets. One I'm watching quite closely at the moment, the Aussie dollar. The Reserve Bank of Australia raised rates yesterday by 0.25%, which was much what the market expected, and as a result, the dollar has weakened against sterling, for example, and we are just seeing these upside targets. We have a new one building here, quite important for me at the moment because I'm looking to transfer quite a large amount of money to Aussie. So really quite key there to keep an eye on those targets. Looking at Bitcoin, we're sitting at 22,400 and really just flatlining for the last few days, having had that big fall on Friday. And at the moment, we're just on cloud support on the medium term, but long term, we're still bearish. The interesting thing is to see whether these upside targets will be negated. So quite a mixed picture there for Bitcoin. The Nasdaq last night was again quite strong. We saw a little bit of a tail back at the end of the session, but we started quite well. We're seeing this move this year, and then the pullback. The big question is, can we make a higher high, or will we make a lower high and then a lower low? And of course, long term, we are still bearish below the cloud, hitting cloud resistance. Upside target not yet activated there on the 1% chart. And they've got this very short term upside target. Watch for activation of that. And again, if you're trading the futures, use the 1-minute charts, because you're going to get live trends and targets as we speak. So we're seeing the S&P looking quite good there, but still below the cloud on the long term. Medium term, finding cloud support, and short term we're bullish, and we've got an activated upside target. So really quite an interesting picture. And looking at the FTSE future, we're up just 0.1% today. The DAX in Germany up 0.2%. So it's rising on that weekly cloud. We've got an upside target 15% higher on the medium term. Shortage of targets on the long term chart, just a little bit of concern. And we're seeing on the short term, we've got a new target 5% higher. So the DAX is looking pretty good despite everything that's going on in Europe. Japan actually was up 0.3%. And we're seeing here this market really starting to run now. Good upside targets, 20% higher on the long-term chart, 23% higher on that medium term, and those activated. We're going to get a new target there. Notice how these targets were met. So we look to the next targets. Japan looking strong. Looking at the Hang Seng, we were down 1/3% there, and looking at the Shanghai Composite, we're down 1%. So Chinese stocks just falling away there as well. And the Aussie market, the Sensex was up 0.7%, and the Aussie market up 0.5% on that rate rise. Talk of fewer rate rises going forward, so the Aussie market just starting to cheer that. A quick look at gold. We're sitting at 1843, fairly flat, having hit that 1850 mark. We've got targets here to the upside. Keep an eye on those. Again, if you're trading gold, the 1 minute chart's going to be your key. And looking at US 10-year yields, they fell back sharply on Friday, recovered a little bit yesterday, but just falling back again. The key thing is, will we fall below 3.9%? We've got a downside target, but upside targets activated. Now, let's look to energy. Brent crude, first of all, we're actually down slightly today, but the reality is we are building this base, and if we look at what that means, we've got multiple targets on Brent crude. So we look at the charts here. Bullish on that 60-minute chart, has been for a couple of weeks now above the cloud. 89 is the short-term target. On the that's the very short-term 1 minute chart. On the 60-minute chart, we've got 88, 91, 65. So we've got upside targets. That's what we're aiming for. Another one is going to kick in on this rise there. So that's going to be quite key. That's 91.10 as well. So it looks like we're going to break that 90 level. And if we do that, that chart on the daily is going to look significantly different. And that's a way to think about things. We do have a mixed picture because of that triangle pattern on the medium and longer term charts, but the shorter term charts will turn those charts bullish by the looks of things. Again, we could see a failed breakout. Someone on LinkedIn this morning commented a fake out, and that does happen, of course, but the reality is we are just starting to move above the cloud. That 90 level, we move above that, that's a different picture. US nat gas is actually looking weaker. We see that this morning down as well, just below the cloud. We called it lower in our morning call report. Emissions is that little bit higher, up 2%. Pushing away, that's looking like a very clear double bottom there, having built a base, and we've got that upside target of 95.20 met, but there is just a shortage of medium and short term charts. Watch your 1 minute charts for any new price action and any new targets, but that for the moment is the picture. Bearish on the very short term, bullish on the medium term. Breaking 100, of course, would be very bullish. Looking at MBP, we're up 0.3% this morning, but again, these charts looking bearish with downside targets. TTF, much the same. Keep an eye on our reports. We put out every morning. Downside targets there, despite the small rise this morning, up 0.5%. And last of all, German power. Cal 24, interestingly, we had a target to 139 this morning, but since then, on the 1 minute chart, this is EX data, we're seeing that downside target back to 131.50 coming in. So if you're trading on German power, you really want to watch these chart targets. You see how they keep coming in, and that's how you resolve where the price is headed next. Absolutely essential if you're trading the energy markets in Europe. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. Keep an eye on those price targets on your 1 minute charts if you're trading short term. Until tomorrow, see you then. Bye for now.